In this lesson today, we're going to talk about a really common problem, which is just this. You saw the mare there stopped and put her head up and was threatening to walk backwards. Here we are showing it in slow motion. I'm going to discuss why this occurs and how to overcome it. You see the horse stops, raises its head and starts to weight its back end. By a new person yesterday, and what she was doing was stopping when she wasn't being asked to, and then putting her head up and taking a few steps backwards. Yesterday she did it 3 times with this new rider, so that's enough to learn the response. It's why I don't teach horses to back up until I've got a really solid go forward cue, and even more than that, really I've started lateral work. The horse is well past foundation training. I think backing up is something beyond foundation training, simply because it's very easy to teach, it's very easy to do, and it's very easy to get a rear from if you don't release it at the right time. And if they use it as a reason to start going backwards, they're weighting their hindquarters all the time, and their shoulders are getting more and more elevated, and before you know where you are, they're off the ground. So I leave it till last to teach it, and that's the reason why. So what we need to do now is to unteach what she learned yesterday. Backing up is often used as a correction. People call it correction. It's really a punishment, and it's a punishment. You know the difference, because you're adding something to it. A correction is a punishment when you're adding something. So it's positive punishment by making them back up. So it's getting them to do something after they've done something wrong. So positive reinforcement is adding something, so that might be adding food. So you add that after they've done something right. So something right, you give a treat, that's positive reinforcement. This is positive punishment. You're adding something after they've done something wrong. So let's say they kick or at the whip or something, and you'll get them to back up as a result of that, as a punishment for that. So it's nicer to say it's correction. It sounds nicer when you say it's a correction, but let's be realistic and understand what it is we're doing. We're actually adding something, so we're adding punishment. So I don't particularly want to be punishing her. I certainly don't want to punish her by making her perform a movement that I'm going to be asking her to perform later either. So I don't want her to be afraid of the rein. Good girl. So what I do want to be able to do when she hesitates or when she goes to step backwards, I want to be able to make sure I can use the whip on her hindquarter to drive her forward without her kicking at it or bucking or carrying on. So if she makes the mistake on the ground again, which or under saddle again, which I'm sort of hoping she will, I want to know that I can tap her gently with the whip after I cluck forward, and know that I'm not going to end up being catapulted off the horse. So I'm going to give her 3 cues. I'm going to cluck or go forward, and then when I'm riding I'll touch her with my leg, and then the 3rd cue is I'll touch her with the whip. So when I'm walking I'm going to cluck, and then I'm going to raise the whip, cue 2, and touch her with the whip, cue 3. So she's got 3 cues. If I wanted to walk a bit faster, I'm going to cluck once, raise the whip, then touch her with the whip. So there, I've got a bit more speed. Okay, that's how I wanted to trot. I'm going to cluck twice, then raise the whip, then touch her with the whip. Okay, we might have to pretend she's doing it. So I'll get her to stop. This is what she's doing. The head comes up and then she backs up a few steps right here. So what I need to be able to do is have the whip reach her hindquarter. So I'm going to cluck her first and then touch with my leg and I'm going to touch her with the whip. Good girl, look at you, good choice. Good boy. I'll do that again. Facing the other way. Good. Good girl. Now I think, even if she's stopped on her own and you've had to do that little sequence, you make a big fuss of her when she goes forward. So that becomes the really nice thing, is just walking forward. It's really easy, any horse can do that. You make a big fuss of them for being so clever as to go forward rather than holding against them for making a mistake. And it doesn't turn into an argument, it turns into the horse doing something really clever.